everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name's Kim and today I am doing another speed build. Now this one is a modern boathouse and it was built in Granite Falls. It's on a 50 by 50 lot and it comes in at just less than 502,000 simoleons. Now I had an idea the other week that I wanted to build a boathouse. Now I've wanted to do one for some time, but every single boathouse I came across had quite a traditional sort of feel. A lot of them had like that boarded cladding type effect on the outside, and they looked like they were all built in like, I don't know, the 70s or something like that. But I didn't want to do that. I wanted to do something that was quite modern. Whether it goes together in the end, I'm not entirely sure. To be honest. But the other thing was I was dying to do a modern mansion as well, because it's also been a really long time since I've done one of those. Now to be honest, modern builds aren't really something I adore doing it, but you know, it's something that I just like to keep going on my channel because there's a lot of people out there that do love modern builds and actually prefer them. I just think that my personal style may be a little bit more traditional than it is modern, but nevertheless, because I don't build them very often, it's always quite a joy when I get round to doing one. So I tried to do a little bit of research into what I wanted to build, and ultimately I didn't in the end. I just built this monstrosity and was like, that'll do. So yeah, this is the modern building, which I do actually chop and change around. At the moment I'm building the underneath boathouse bit. Now I had absolutely no idea how to do this because I've never actually built obviously something with water that flows underneath the house, and again I've never used like any sort of boats or anything like that in my build either, so I really didn't know how any of it was going to get on. But I thought, instead of like, normally when I plan to do a build I can get an idea, be really excited about it, build it really fast and want to get it done really fast, whereas this one I wanted to take more time with it so that I felt completely happy with it at the end, instead of just kind of like rushing through it. So my parents were over to stop again this weekend and they have now gone back to, or will be going back tomorrow to Spain. So I started this, I think it was before the weekend, and I'd already recorded some Let's Plays which I was uploading over the weekend, so I knew that I had quite a few days to play with. So yeah, I did a little bit over the weekend and then I've been chipping away at it. Now I had so much fun building this. It was really something different for me. I think the thing I loved about it was, even though I was doing a modern build, I still got to do loads of landscaping as well. And I really don't know how it all fits together or whether it even works, but I thought I'm just going to do it anyway, and if it works it works, if it doesn't, well, it's just another build. But I went kind of very in depth with the landscaping. Now I am aware obviously with modern builds they're not ordinarily, you know, it's not about the landscaping, it's more about the architecture of the build, etc. But because it was a boathouse, I allowed myself some landscaping. So yes, I thought I'm just going to add it anyway, and you know, we'll just see what happens. But as it was, I went ahead and did I use these rocks, and I use these rocks absolutely everywhere, and I really love them. I love the way that they layer up and how they give, like, the effect that they give as well. So I don't include every single bit of landscaping that I've done in this build either, because there was a lot, and a lot of it was quite repetitive, like these rocks. So I didn't want to kind of like bore you to death with all of this landscaping. Plus, by the time I'd completely compressed everything down to come to edit, it was still over an hour long. So I thought, well, I definitely need to cut out quite a lot of that landscaping, because I'm aware, as I said before, I think there are some people that just really aren't bothered about it, which is absolutely fine. Not. No, it is, it's fine. But so I did chop and change through and make sure that I didn't do too much. But ultimately in this section, because I was building underneath the house, I did want to show you sort of a little bit the detail that I went into to create the effect. So yeah, that's why I'm boring you to death at the moment with placing these billions of rocks. Actually didn't realise how many I placed until, you know, I watched the footage back and was like, wow, yeah, that was a lot of rocks. So this area at the bottom, I imagine, was how you would obviously go to access the boats. Now, my husband said to me, because like sometimes when I'm doing a build, I'm like, what do you think of this? Does this look any good? Blah, blah, blah. And he was like, the first thing he said was, how are you going to get the boat out of there? I was like, well, obviously, I'm going to drive it through that magic tunnel underneath the house. I'm going to pop out in that river over there. And he was like, okay. So, yeah, you just have to imagine that obviously you can get the boat out in some way, and it all kind of flows and works together. But yeah, I absolutely loved the landscaping on this in the end. It kind of had like this, a real foresty sort of magical kind of look. However, then transferring over to do the build was like, it was a bit confusing really, because the interior was a nightmare, and the reason for that was because obviously I'd got that stuck into doing the outside, that I felt that the outside was more of a traditional type of setting, like it would have actually fit an old 70s traditional boat house better. But you know, I was like, no, I can't think like that. So I started to do, well, obviously on the outside I used very earthy tones, and I wanted it to, even though it was modern, to blend into its surroundings quite well. Almost like an eco build, but I don't think this is really, well, it's not an eco build. There's nothing really eco-friendly as such about it. You know, it's just literally a modern house in a forest. So when I came to do the interior, I was trying to go quite posh and modern, but then I felt like it didn't really match the outside, so I got all worlds of confusion going on, and then just decided to turn it off and go to bed. Because I thought, well, you know, there's no point in carrying on if, you know, I'm feeling a bit like I'm not sure about it. So there's so much chopping and changing with this build. Like you can see here, just like flying around, changing balconies, changing like textures, and you know, that's just because it's a made up build, you know, and when you're making things up, obviously things chop and change around, and you know, you do that as a creator anyway, until you sit back and think, yes, I'm happy with that, I think that looks right. With this build, I actually built it over 3 nights, and I think one of the nights I was so tired, and I was getting to the point where I think I did the kitchen, the dining room, and then I moved on to the living room. That was it. And I got partway through the living room and it was like, no, this is just not happening. And what it was I wanted to use like an orange colour. But within The Sims, they tend to have like this burnt orange colour, and there's not very many kind of wallpaper options, so I think at that point I was defeated and decided to go off to bed. But anyway, at the moment I'm trying to build like this lake that runs around the front of the house and then kind of goes over the side. Now I did add these like kind of waterfall like little things in, these water features, but actually when I got right to the end and I pressed play, they just looked like they were stopping in midair, which they were. So I actually removed all of the top ones, so we just had the ones at the bottom. I know there's different ways that you can do waterfalls, but to be honest, I didn't really think too much into it. It wasn't really a massive feature that I was too worried about. It was just something that I wanted to give an illusion that obviously it was running around the side of the building and down into where the canal boat was. So yeah, I quite liked it in the end, how it looked. I do love the landscaping though. I am like really in love with it. I just think it looks so I think I've got a thing for like foresty type landscaping. I think it looks just so pretty, and kind of magical, if you like, a little bit like the tree house effect, but obviously not in this case. So I hope you're all well and you all had a fantastic weekend. Mine was absolutely hectic. We had my dad back over to stay with us again. He's flies back to Spain tomorrow, and it was really nice to kind of have him over and to spend some time with him. Although my daughter, she literally turned 6 months the other day, and honestly, Sunday came and she was like Satan's baby. I am not joking. She is like teething or something was going on, and it is a teeth because by now normally a tooth has broken through, and she's been quite grizzly really the last sort of few days, but this was another level, folks, another level. She was like awake on, well, I think Saturday night. It took her till like 10 o'clock at night to go to sleep, and then at 7 o'clock in the morning she was wide awake screaming for like 3 hours, and it's literally one of them situations where there's nothing you can do about it other than to give them a little bit of medicine to try and ease it, and obviously chew toys and things like that. It's just one of those things that happens, and you feel, when you're a new parent, you feel so useless, and you just panic like mad. But when you're an older parent like me, and it's like your fourth time doing it, it's like, oh no, not this phase again. I forgot how horrendous this phase was. But yeah, unfortunately, it was like the first time my dad was really meeting her properly, and since he'd seen her as a newborn. So she was a little bit grizzly, which was a shame, but you did get to see her probably about a week ago when he first stopped over, and got to see that she was actually more smiley, than what she was on Sunday. So all in all, it was quite stressful really. Thankfully, she has calmed down now, and there is still no sign of a tooth either, which is quite strange, but this is how teething goes. It can be bad one day and not so bad another day, and then all of a sudden, normally when you're at your wit's end and you feel like you can't cope anymore and you're the worst parent in the world, a tooth will pop through and everything calms straight back down again, until the next tooth comes. So yeah, that was not very joyful. So I have had an influx of new subscribers. So if you are new to my channel, hello, my name's Kim, and I have been doing this for probably about 3 and a bit months now, something like that, not too long. But I've been doing not speed builds, but I've been building in The Sims since The Sims 2, probably is where I started, and then I really got into doing a lot of building in The Sims 3, and I've been playing Sims 4 since launch, so I have done a lot of building over my time in The Sims. Currently splitting my time between doing The Sims builds as well as some Let's Plays, so not everybody enjoys Let's Plays, and that's absolutely fine. If you just prefer builds, then that's great too. I quite like doing the Let's Plays just because I think predominantly in The Sims as a player, I tend to do more building. So I will think of an idea, create it, make a family maybe for it, and that's me done. Then I'm on to the next build. But I do actually really enjoy playing The Sims as well, and especially, well, I enjoy playing it in The Sims 3, but I kind of go through phases where I prefer building, and then other times I'm like, no, I prefer to play. But the good thing about the Let's Plays is that it allows you to do both, and it stops the building from becoming too intense and, you know, I don't know, boring, I suppose, and just breaks it up a little bit. So I've got 2 Let's Plays going on at the moment. One is the Parenthood Let's Play, which, yeah, that's going really good at the minute, and there's lots of exciting things happening. And also the Black Widow Challenge, which, oh, she's in the process of killing her first husband, and it's the first ever sim I've ever killed in game. I know. I think I may weep a little bit when I log back in and see his death. But that's been lots of fun as well. So I'm thinking about doing, I know I've been talking about a schedule for the Let's Plays for a while, because you can't really schedule builds as much just because they can run over and, you know, all that kind of stuff, especially when you're doing a big one like this. But I was thinking about uploading on a Monday, Wednesday and Friday for the Let's Plays. And I don't know, obviously because I'm running 2, I don't know whether that will just be 1 episode. I tend to alternate them anyway, so I'll do like one of Parenthood, one of Black Widow, and vice versa. But I might upload more than one on one of those days, or I might just keep it one of each, I'm not sure. And then just dot my builds, you know, around during the week at some point. I think last week I uploaded every single day, which I am pretty much uploading every other day, I would say, on the channel. And that's a very good mixture, quite heavily sort of build orientated as well. So, you know, I think this might work out quite well and might take a little bit of pressure off to set a schedule, because then I can sort of get a little bit more organised in life and then keep all of the content coming quite fluently for you guys as well. So moving on to this interior, as you can see here, I'm doing this kind of like black and white sort of kitchen. Now, I'm trying to get a little bit more adventurous. I do say this every time I'm working on my interiors, but the truth is, you know, I work on them as I go. I try to get inspiration, and I obviously have my fellow YouTubers that I watch as well, and to be honest, you know, I'm in awe of some of the builders that I watch, because they're on another level. There is just no doubt about it. I suppose I can. If I really sat down and was like, right, you know, I want to do like a spectacular kitchen, I suppose if I spent a little bit of time researching and things like that, I would do alright. But I think I'm more of like an outdoorsy type builder. I like doing the actual build and the outdoor bit, but the inside's like, oh, is it done yet? But I don't always feel like that, so, you know, I suppose it depends how well your build's going, you know, whether it's all flowing together. But I did actually really like this kitchen in the end. Like, this bit in the middle I had going on was quite sweet. I quite enjoyed doing it in the end. And I did go back and add a couple of chairs in, some kitchen stools at the side. The only thing was I added the cabinets at the back, because looking around, with me having the bar on the right hand side, I then realised that I didn't have much kind of workspace, so I added in the units at the back as well and added in a sink. So hopefully it kind of like will work out. And then through from there, I'm going on to doing the dining room, which again had a similar kind of theme going on. I can't talk. It's so late at night. Oh, I'm messing my words up. But yeah, I started going with all this black and white type theme, and then I was like, this is what confused me and put me off, because when I got to the end of the room, I kind of thought, wow, this looks nothing like the exterior. where am I going with this? But I just carried on going, and ultimately I thought, well, if you don't like it, you can always download it unfurnished, and then that way you can furnish it yourself. How exciting is that? Win-win all around. It is also so hot tonight as well. I don't know what it's like where you are in the world, but in the UK over the last sort of 2 to 3 weeks, we have had the most strangest weather, which I say it's strange, but it's probably just our typical summer really. Some days we have got like rain and it's quite cold. I wouldn't say really cold, but you know, the temperature can plummet some sort of 10 degrees in between days. And you know, you're finding yourself needing like some sort of jumper situation. And then the next day it'll be like absolute scorching hot, and you got to get suntan cream out and glasses and everything. So I'm kind of feeling a little bit strange about it at the minute. But yes, in the summertime when it's kind of like dry out and sunny, our neighbourhood kind of comes alive, and I'm pretty sure this happens everywhere in the world, you know, because it's summertime, but our neighbourhood is like, you know, I just wish it would rain all the time just because of the noise. I think it's more because we've got a baby, so when we put her down at night, if there's any kind of outside noise, she sort of springs awake or can spring awake, and it's like, no, go to sleep. But ultimately it's not her fault. It's just like lots of noise going on outside, which, you know, I do sound a bit like bar humbug, but for the summer. But I am quite glad now, I must admit, that it's coming towards the end of July, because I was chatting to somebody today and I was saying I can't believe it's the end of July already, because it feels like 2 minutes ago since it was Christmas and I was expecting my daughter, and she was actually born on her due date, which was the 14th of January. But all over Christmas, I was in this like slow labour state, which, you know, I thought I was going to give birth at any point, which I didn't in the end. But all that kind of time just felt like it was dragging on forever. And then now it's like, wow, she is over 6 months. Where has the year gone? But I am super excited because autumn, or fall as quite a lot of you call it over in America, is my favourite season of the year. I just absolutely love autumn because obviously we have Halloween, which we don't massively celebrate it like they do in America, which is, you know, the Brits are a bit boring like that. I think certain pockets of communities do celebrate, so where we are, we kind of go all out and get dressed up. Well, we get all the kids dressed up, and there are certain like streets where people really go all out, and certain homes that go all out. So when we go to do our trick or treating, we literally just knock on the doors of people who, you know, have made the effort, because otherwise you just end up knocking on doors and people don't answer because they're like really boring. But yeah, so we've got Halloween, and then we've got bonfire night over here, which is all about fireworks, and then we've got, it's ultimately just the lead up to Christmas. And Christmas is just, I just love winter. I love darker nights and being all cozy. It's great because all the kids sleep really well because it's like, you know, they've not got the sun streaming through the window. And I don't know, I am definitely more of a winter girl than I am a summer girl. I'm probably a bit of a true Brit. Now, Brits moan all the time about the weather because it's always raining. But then as soon as we get sunshine, we moan about that as well because it's just too hot. But for me, I would take it being cold, wet and windy. As long as I'm not planning on going anywhere and I could just see it out the window, that is just perfect for me. Which everyone thinks I'm quite miserable for that. You know, whenever I chat to anyone at school or the mums or anything like that, they're always like, oh, you know, I love it being so hot and sunny. And I'm like, oh, get me indoors and shut the curtains, it's too hot. Yeah, so I don't know if I've actually told this story, but a few years ago, was quite a few years ago now, my husband came home from work and it was a summer's day and he was absolutely red hot. And he was like, you know what, I've had enough. Because over here in Britain, we don't have air conditioning because it's just pointless. It's just not warm enough throughout the year to need it. You know, if anything, we need heating. So anyway, this particular summer's day, he was like, it's too hot. I'm going to go out and get an air conditioning unit. So he bought this air conditioning unit and turned it on, and it was absolutely freezing, and it was bliss, absolutely bliss. And but the very next day it started snowing. So from there on out it was called the snow machine, because, you know, it completely changed the weather after one use. But anyway, we've still got this snow machine, and I've actually had it up in the bedroom today, and I did the school run with all the kids and they were all absolutely baking. So they came home from school, got themselves changed, and then we had ice lollies and just lay on my bed just cooling down in front of this snow machine because it's just been so warm. But looking at the weather, I think it actually cools right down tomorrow, so I'm a little bit relieved about that. Listen at me, how boring am I? I did just actually have to have a look at the weather, and we've been issued with a weather warning for tomorrow, which is thunderstorms. Oh, I'm so excited about that. I absolutely love thunderstorms. Ever since I was a kid, I was always so fascinated with tornadoes, and we used to see them on the news, like over in America. And then when YouTube came about and everything, I used to just watch, and I still do watch, videos of tornadoes because I'm just so fascinated. It's just, they're so amazing. And there's actually a guy that I watch who is a storm chaser, and this guy is called Peacock Hank, and he's got a YouTube channel, and he takes some of the most extreme and amazing footage of tornadoes ever, and he's a really nice guy as well. But he does a lot of tornado chasing around their season, which is normally around springtime, I think it is. But anyway, that is going totally off subject. But yeah, if you're ever interested in anything like that, Peacock Hank is amazing at chasing tornadoes, and some of the footage as well is incredible. I'll link that in the description box down below, and if it does happen to be anybody, just even one of you that might be interested, then yes, go and check him out. He's like a pretty cool guy. What a job as well. I say what a job, but I think if I was in that situation, I would be like, oh my god, help! And I'd just be trying to floor it away as fast as I could. I have actually had some dreams as well, intense dreams about tornadoes and stuff, and just been absolutely scared to death. But I think I like the idea, but in reality it's like, no, that would be frightening. Anyway, I think we're coming towards the end of the video now. I've actually just talked rubbish all the way through. So if you did like this video, please give me a big thumbs up. Be sure to go and follow me on Twitter as well if you're not already. I do post regular updates. And I will look forward to seeing you next time. Have a great week, and I will see you soon. Take care. Bye.